Welcome to Parent Squad. I'm Felicia Lawrence. And parents, today we're dealing with a topic no one wants to think about. We are talking about all those creepy, crawly, lice, bed bugs, the things you don't want to think about again. If you have ever experienced either one of those, you know it is no fun. So today we want to make sure that you're prepared just in case the bugs make an appearance in your home. Here to help us do that is Franciscan family medicine Dr. Matthew Lash. Thank you for being here. This is something I think nobody wants to or really expects to, because I feel like it just kind of happens. You're like, lice? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it happens.
But you had it.
Yeah, as a kid, I had
kid.
it. Yeah, it happens. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So, yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so starting with lice, the most important point here is no shame, no blame. So if your child comes home with lice, you say it's important to check everyone in the house.
Oh, yes.
How do you do this and what are you looking for?
So how you do that is, so you start by, you have to brush everyone's hair, right? It has to be perfectly straight. And then you have to go in like near the back of the neck with like a very fine comb. So typically the hair is wet, you put conditioner in, and you're looking specifically for either the flea, or the lice, or you're looking for the nits, which are like the eggs of them. So, and you're basically checking around the ears. You want to go over the entire head at least twice to make sure you didn't miss anything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you can see these visibly?
Yes.
You would
so,
see them like jumping around? What do they look like? Or
more
little
crawling,
dots?
more crawling. Fleas jump. So, but yeah.
We'll talk about those in a second.
Yeah. But you can do it over like black paper or, you know, a different colored piece of paper, just so you can kind of, because the nits are white, right?
Okay.
So, and it can help differentiate, you know, as you're scraping them out of the hair, you're kind of essentially looking to see if there's any presence of it, right?
Oh my gosh.
So.
Okay, how do you treat this?
So there's a lot of different treatments. So first off, you need to wash all of the bedding in hot water. So hot water helps, like hot water with soap helps, you know, clean and kill all the eggs and any lice that are kind of like on anything that you can wash, right? And then typically you're doing a treatment, you do 2 treatments. So they're typically anywhere from 7 to 9 days apart, depending on the treatment. Most of the time we use permethrin, which is again, a topical shampoo soap. And you're washing your hair, you're leaving it in for a certain period of time, essentially to let it kind of do its thing. Essentially what it's doing is it's killing the adult lice.
Okay.
Right? And then you're repeating in 7 to 9 days, because when you repeat it, essentially you're trying to get out all the nits you can, which are the eggs that have like, they've been laid onto the hair. Essentially you're repeating that treatment for any ones that have reproduced. And then it takes them a certain amount of time once they've hatched from their eggs to be able to make more eggs, right? So you want to kind of get them in a window where they have recently hatched and they haven't laid any eggs. So that's why the double treatment, right?
Okay, it sounds a bit scary, but
It is, yeah.
calm down. There luckily is a way to treat all of
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
Next up, let's talk bed bugs. And you're saying that if you think you found them at home, what do we need to be doing? So what are some of the signs and symptoms of bed bugs? Another one is stay calm. These things happen, but what are we looking for here?
So you're looking for bites on your skin, right? You're looking for like dirty dander or like brown stuff kind of like in the corners of the beds. You might see them on your bed. You might see them like on depending on what your headboard's made of, if it's cloth, right? They live in more cloth material, right?
Where did it come from? Like, how do you even get?
So you can get them from most of the time you get them from travel, right? So they're in either a hotel, a motel, or you Airbnb or you brought it home on your luggage. So typically, this is why like kind of some of the prevention is most of the places have those luggage carriers that are like all metal, right? Putting your luggage there so it's not on the bed, right? Avoiding putting it on anything that's cloth so that you can, not bring them home, right?
Yeah.
And then don't put your bed on, or your suitcase on your bed either.
I feel like this is a chapter of med school that you wouldn't quite know that you wouldn't immediately think about this as being the chapter of med school. Okay. Obviously important to act quickly once you discover the bugs. And you said, you kind of gave us some of your recommendations there, keeping your luggage, keeping in mind travel, like how you would be bringing it home.
Yeah.
Okay. There are remedies to avoid. What are some of those?
So So home remedies.
Because people go to the internet.
Yep. So home remedies. So I would use, definitely only use like treatments that are, certified for it. There are certified pest controllers for, specifically for bed bugs, right? So
you have to call an expert?
you should, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now, in very rare circumstances, you can get like allergic reactions and stuff to the bed bugs. So if you're having those, right, you might see evidence of it. Then I would definitely see a doctor, right, and say, hey, is this what's happening, right? They can help you kind of manage some of those symptoms.
Okay, how do you prevent the spread of this?
Of bed bugs?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you prevent it by...
Well, I guess that's the expert's job.
Yeah, well, so part of it is like that prevention piece of like, not putting your luggage on beds, not putting, putting your clothes or other people's clothes, keeping them on just your bed or, your bedding just on your bed so you're not spreading it within your house, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, also we've been talking about bed bugs. What about fleas? How do we keep that into the mix as well, just being aware of what's going on here? Do those only live on animals? Do humans what do we need to know? Yeah,
so fleas typically only live on animals, right? They need them for their life cycle. Now, most people that have pets, treat them kind of throughout the fall months, right? All the way into the, spring to summer to fall. In the winter is when people think, oh, hey, maybe I might not need to treat my pet.
Right.
If your pet visits other pets, right, you go out to pet parks or you bring your pet to another person's home, right, that might be an indication to keep treating your dog or cat with those treatments, right? Because if they get it, those fleas bite you, they can cause symptoms, they can carry a multitude of different types of bacteria and, not that you should be super concerned about a lot of them, but if you're having systemic symptoms and you have flea bites, that might be something to kind of talk to your doctor about. So like fever, headache, all those things. Like definitely come in and see a doctor because it could be from the flea bites.
Okay, and would we see like that on our skin where it'd be like, oh my gosh, something bit me here? We would potentially see that. Okay.
Yeah, you'd see flea bites. You wouldn't see the flea typically because they're very small. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, these are the creepy crawlies that nobody wants to talk about. You don't even want to think about it, especially when it comes to your kids and you. Yeah. But thank you so much. Again, inspecting your hotels, inspecting your luggage, checking secondhand furniture, regular vacuuming, washing bedding. Just kind of think about where you've been, where you've laid your things, and how those can kind of cross-contaminate. Dr. Lash, we appreciate you giving us some tips. I feel like these are just life tips that you need here. We know no family wants to deal with this, but you got to be educated. We have more on Franciscan health at WTHR.com/Parent Squad.